Buen dia, Dios. That's my Spanish. Good morning, God. That's my greeting to you. Why would it ever be anything but that? Good morning, God. I could have said, good morning, you gods. But that gives more emphasis on difference, as though quantity precedes quality. There's only one God. So good morning, God. That applies to each and every one. It applies to your cranky wives or cranky husbands or cranky children. There's only one substance. Consciousness. Good consciousness. Intelligence. And part of the problem that we run into on a frequent basis is we look at appearances. Why not? We were taught that we were a form, that the reality of us was a form. And our parents taught us that. They thought it was a right and true idea. So they kept that idea that they were forms also. And they learned the same thing from their parents, going back generation after generation. You are not a form. You have a form. But what you are is formless. In one of Mr. Walter's texts, he makes it quite clear. I can find the page I'm on. Had the infantile mentality, the unfolding mentality, looked within for its information instead of without, and rendered righteous judgment, governed by its own comprehension. No errors, such as judging its body as solid, sentient, and occupying space, would have occurred. Life's plan is one of unfoldment from within out, and not from without in, as is commonly supposed. If each child or adult had been taught to observe and study its own mental processes and note how the mentality externalizes its thoughts, which reach the belief or understanding, the conclusive state, no child or adult would need to till the soil for a living, nor ask a favor of anyone, for it could gratify all its desires through mental means alone. So one of the key words that I found in there that I didn't appreciate the first time I read that was the word gratify. How grateful are you? How actively grateful are you? In your sense, in your feeling? That gratitude needs to be uppermost. This is how you train yourself. You know, when you train puppies or kitties, or train your children, or maybe train your spouse, husband or wife, you praise the good overtly, not silently. Well, he did a pretty good job, but I'm not going to tell him he'll just get a big head. No, express your gratitude. That will bring success to you that much more quickly. If you keep your blessings, your right thoughts, your good thoughts about others silently within your own mentality, that's not natural. Mentality loves to express itself. Now, we seem to have accepted the idea for the last few millennia that we are forms. Evidently, according to Mr. Walter's research, there was a time, and I put time in quotes, there was a time where there was an understanding that all is mental. And of course, those who were not accepting of that would still go by appearances and with certainty think of themselves as the form or body. Because there's some reference that the sons of God mingled with the daughters of men. So sons of God meant, at least technically or knowingly, individuals understood themselves as God, not as gods, plural, but as God, this one and only substance, this one and only cause. But they intermingled with those who had a feeling, who went by their feelings, that they were mankind, they were the expression. So the sons of God mixed in with the daughters of men. And the feeling side tended to be much more persuasive than the intellectual side, the insights. No, we need to end that. Ooh. Excuse me a moment while I discipline my iPhone. There. That's my wake-up call. That's my alarm when I'm traveling. Josh Groban, not a great way to wake up in the morning. The mixture continued, and eventually the feeling that the individual is the form became more or less the rule of the day, and it's continued up to this point. In my own experience, I consider myself relatively fortunate. I was introduced to eschatology when I was 15 years old, and I attended classes. And when I was serving in the military, in the Navy, for 7 years, I still referred to my sickle and used it the best I could. And successfully. I mean, I'm here. I survived the Vietnam War, so I guess it works. But this isn't about me individually. It's the point I'm trying to make is that the sooner an individual can be introduced to the truth that their thinking is causative and that they invariably experience what they think as soon as they feel certain that it is real. Now, I suppose one could think any kind of fantastic and inaccurate thinking and get by with it if you didn't believe it or feel or conclude that it was real. It's like running film through a projector, but leaving the projection lamp turned off. There's no expression. There's no there's no likeness of the image on the film showing up on the screen. Now, this whole idea of age, that's kind of silly, really. I mean, if you were to count up the number of times you've gone around the sun, you might say, well, I think I've been around the sun 30 times, so I'm 30 years old. What is that to eternity? Some people think eternity, well, that's a fanciful idea. I wish that were true, but it really is true. When you look within, when you meditate, when you quietly contemplate an answer to an essential question. What am I? And bereft of perceptive senses, hear, see, touch, taste, smell, just letting them be quiescent, quiet, and you just quietly contemplate the essence, the intelligence, the mentalness that you are. You realize that there's nothing in that truth that could age, but that it is changeless and timeless. I suggest that everyone do this as frequently as they can, not when you're driving on the freeways, please, but in the quiet moments that you plan during your daily doings. When I look within, which I've learned how to do it even with my eyes open, it's an awareness of infinite possibility. It's a substance, a changeless substance that has no form, but yet can form. This substance, what I am, this isness, this being, is you. It's the you of you. And it has never experienced anything other than mental ideas. Beliefs of age, beliefs of reduced value, reduced health, reduced happiness. They're just ideas, and they are not causative. It does not change the essence, the primal element that each one is. Now, when I started off, I said, "Good morning, God." Not gods, but God. There's only one substance. And when I wake up in the morning, that's how I greet the day. Good morning, God. If I said, "Good morning, Bruce," oh, there's all kinds of stuff going on there. But good morning, God. Starting with power, starting with goodness. And that's the best way to start. And frequent reminders throughout the day, prompted by deliberate questions, such as, what am I? Just 3 words. But they direct you where you find a changeless answer. You are changeless goodness. You are changeless health. You are changeless abundance. But if the abundance of the ideas you're entertaining aren't worth very much because they're not true, they're just false concepts, then there's not going to be much that can show up from that manner of thinking. Every idea I entertain. And if it's an idea that is not consistent with my nature, there is feedback. Let me back up a moment here. What we are is intelligence. But when we awaken as individualized intelligence, we're the same intelligence everyone else is, the same goodness, the same good consciousness. And basically, the only awareness we have upon awakening as individual intelligence is awareness, mere awareness. That's our effect. That's the activity. And intelligence, being the substance and being infinite, is at the same time infinitely active. It is the unknown, not yet known. And because it is all, it is infinite. So as Mr. Walter points out, if good or God is all there is, there could only be one purpose. If there's only substance, it only has one purpose. And as good is all there is, and if good is all I am, I just have one purpose: to unfold myself. And through conscious recognition, enjoy the goodness and fullness of myself. Now we have infinite power to create or imagine or make images without limit. We can imagine we are limited. Is that true? If our nature is limitless and we find that we have limited our sense of it, there's built-in feedback. I like to call it Jiminy Cricket. La voz de mi conciencia. The voice of consciousness. So intelligence or consciousness is always checking its own work. And when we have imagined something not like our nature, this little guy right here sitting on my shoulder, Jiminy Cricket, says, hello, shh, hush that idea, come up with something better. But oftentimes we're not listening within. There may be some slight sense of uneasiness, which is not a substance, by the way. Uneasiness is not a substance. It's not a thing. It's a lack of ease. Oh, I think my light bulbs are being delivered to Debbie today. I'm not sure. In any event, it's a lack of ease. And when there's a lack of ease, there's a lack of fulfillment. So when Jiminy Cricket or your conscience says, this does not measure up to the nature of intelligence, you say, well, I have a guilty conscience. You can't have a guilty conscience. You can only have a perfect conscience. And the conscience is not blaming you. It's not pointing fingers. It's not criticizing you. It's just pointing out impartially, impersonally, that notion, that idea, that feeling, that concept is alien. It's not like your nature. So when your conscience goes, psst, come on, guy, you can do better than that. Listen and follow. Follow on with another question. Well, what can I think better than that? What can I think better than that? These are important questions. And I find that the important questions are the short ones. What am I? What can I think better? What is the truth? That pretty much sums it up. Now, insofar as intelligence or consciousness is one uniform substance, is just itself. It is infinite. in order to enjoy the goodness and fullness of itself, it needs to create ideas, notions, and check to see whether or not that clarifies, enlightens itself to what itself is. And when you imagine an alternative to truth, conscience says, psst, mm-mm. The sooner you are responsive to your own inner sense of goodness, the better it is. If you ignore your conscience, then conscience ramps it up. No longer says, psst, it says, hey, hey. And if you ignore that, it may even show up as a lack of good feeling, or what we call pain. And I like to say, if you don't listen to the whispers, he's going to hit you over the head with his umbrella, and it's going to seemingly hurt. But those are just mental senses. A sense of pain is not a something, it's a reduction of a sense of good, a sense of wellness. I think I've rambled a bit, but I hope it just come across as somewhat connected. So we go about our unfoldment, and we're aware of a sense of uneasiness, a sense that we're entertaining an idea that is contrary to our nature. It is not it's not consistent with our nature. And that's a good thing to find that out, because we just have the one purpose. Through conscious effort to unfold, or through conscious unfoldment. No, let me start at the top. As good as all there is, there could only be one purpose, namely to unfold itself. And through conscious recognition, enjoy the goodness and fullness of itself. And when you're off track, blessedly, we have so-called conscience to say, you're off track. Doesn't say you're a bad guy or a bad gal. It's just saying the assessment is about an idea. It's not a personal thing. So don't think that you've ever done anything wrong. No one can be guilty. I mean, isn't that absurd that intelligence could be guilty? That goodness could be guilty? I think it's kind of laughable. I used to believe that it could be wrong and it could be faulty. And then intelligence could be imperfect, because certainly there were aspects in my daily experience that seemed to be imperfect and faulty. But again, it was that addiction. Yeah, it's an addiction of going by appearances, judging by behavior, judging by how I feel. I can't blame myself. I mean, isn't it an absurdity that God would blame itself? And I'm not Bruce either. Even if you were a great movie buff and you think, oh, yes, you are Bruce Almighty. No, just ordinary, everyday kind of intelligence. And so is everyone else. So is everyone else. There's only one substance. Now, if you get disturbed because of the behavior of someone else, good for you. That means you're working perfectly well, because you need and automatically will be advised when your thinking is not consistent with what you are. Don't go, oh, woe is me, I made a big mistake. You can't. You literally can't. Listen, we're all doing our very best, and we'll continue eternally to do our very best to fulfill our purpose. to unfold self. That's the starting point. Not to fix somebody else, not to make them change their behavior. You're not experiencing their behavior. And you say, oh, they make me so upset, or they frustrate the heck out of me. No, that's you. You can only experience your sense. Experience has never been from someone else. No one else can be cause for you. Does that make sense? It does to me. Did I learn that right away when I began my studies? I'm still learning it. I'm still learning it. On freeways or boulevards or periféricos in La Ciudad de Mexico, there seems to be a lot of traffic. And it seems that you are tempted to think that that traffic is slowing you down. The traffic is making you late for an appointment, or there's some idiot that had an accident down the freeway and it's backed up for 10 miles. And oh, that makes me so mad. That's you. That's you. You who have taken on the sense that time is a reality, that anything that is measured is a reality. Anything that has a form is a reality. It's not. If it has a form, it's an effect, not a cause. Now, according to my watch, it says the time is now almost 10:30. Oh my gosh, 25% of my opportunity here has already passed me by. I hope I still have more words to fill in the other 75%, but I do. I love to play jokes on myself. I love to giggle. I love to grin. I love to kid. I love to joke around, because that's normal. Because you have to laugh at the silly ideas that you come up with. Don't say, oh no, there I go again. Oh, I'm never going to get this. Or eschatology is so hard. So many details. No, it's not. That's your sense. You interpreted it that way. That's all that you have ever done, is interpret and experience your interpretation. There are no outside causes. You live, you move, you have your being in your own mental realm, and there's nobody else in there but you. Is it lonely? Yeah, it is. But it's always peaceful, even though you may clutter it up with all kinds of notions or ideas of others interfering, or politics interfering, or the things on the news are interfering. There's a way that you can listen to the news about a health crisis or monetary crisis and a depression. You can hear it, but don't listen to it. Huge difference. Huge difference. Hearing is merely being aware. And it's one of the first senses that unfold at birth. Hearing, seeing, touching, smelling, tasting, in that order. So you can hear anything, but you don't need to listen to it. When you're listening to it, you're endeavoring to attach some sense of reality to it. You're trying to understand it. You're trying to understand an audio effect. That's all it is. It's just audio. And it's just effect. The news that you hear on the radio or the news that you watch on the television, Okay, now there's another sense involved there. You've got audio and video. A commentator with frustration and all kinds of emotional expressions looking right out of your TV at you, and you think, oh, wow, this is believable. Who said that? Who said it was believable? It's you. Live and move and have your being in your own mental realm. Now, we don't frequently remember to remind ourselves of that, but you can remember much more easily my protocol, which is time out. What am I? Time out. What am I? What is the truth? What can I think better now? Time has been defined. So many hours in a day, so many minutes in an hour, so many seconds in a minute, and probably even finer definition of time. It can be a convenience. For instance, if you have made an appointment to visit a friend for lunch or dinner or whatever, for shopping spree, love to do that. And so it can be convenience, but it's not a cause, it's an effect. It's a description. If it's a description or has a name, then it's effect and not cause. You can't be late. You can't be early. There's only now. I had to learn that and master that idea many years ago when so-called years, when I first traveled to Australia to attend Marge Westad's TGC down there. I think the first one was in Western Australia in Perth. 2 years later, I think there was one in Sydney. I did not attend the Perth one, but I did in Sydney. And I thought, oh my gosh, I leave at 11 o'clock on Wednesday and I get there 16 hours later or 17 hours later, and it's 7 o'clock Saturday morning. Where did that time go? And yeah, I do feel a little bit time disoriented. Oh yeah, is that what they call time lag? Or there's a special name for it. And people said, that's why it's so difficult. It's so hard. Trying to convince me that my faulty reasoning was correct. It is hard to travel because of the time differences, because of all the time you have to sit in an airplane, blah, blah, blah. So because it was, where's my little helper? My helper was saying, this is not a comfortable idea, Bruce. What can you think better? What is the truth? And it suddenly dawned on me. It was about 23 years ago, if you're measuring in years. And I realized, no, there's only now. And as soon as I woke up to that truth, I realized that is essential to know that. Because if there is only now, there's no past. And there's no future already laid out ahead of me. This is my future. This is my past. There's only now. And if you can practice holding to that idea, not just repeating it parrot-like, but really getting the sense of being in the present now, then you don't have to be concerned about compensating for your sins in the past or being worried about limitation in the future, limitation of health, limitation of wealth, limitation of happiness. If my husband keeps acting like this, how could I possibly be content? If the virus spreads, I think this whole thing was prompted by questions regarding the coronavirus. Geez, to dignify nothing with a name. It's a nothing. And it's been dignified by a fancy name. Coronavirus. Almost sounds real. Regal. It's not regal. It's just a fantasy. It's just a made-up thing. And if I'm not comfortable with what I make up, I do not continue it. And I don't go into warfare against it. I don't go around saying, there is no coronavirus, there is no coronavirus, there is no coronavirus, there is no coronavirus. How long do you want me to say this? There is no coronavirus, there is no coronavirus, there is no coronavirus. Oh, I can kick it up a bit. Coronavirus is not real. Coronavirus is not real. Coronavirus is not real. Well, that's self-defeating. You're claiming it as a something and saying at the same time that the something is not a something. You're treading water. You're not progressing. Wisdom says, ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Not just repeating a statement about the truth, but really knowing it, living it, feeling it, acting it out. Well, that's a popular trinity right there. Think it, feel it, act it out. What the truth is, not repeated denials of what is not true. There's no progress in that. You're just spinning your wheels. It's like driving in neutral. Put it in drive. Move forward to a different opportunity of now. Now what will I think? So time seems to be a reality. But when I realize that there's only now, I'm always refreshed. I can work 24 hours throughout the day and night and still choose to be refreshed. And that's what my experience would be. When flying to Australia, people say, oh, wow, it's so far away. All the way to Australia, all the way to Europe. I'm not going anywhere. It looks like I am. But guess what the truth is? I am here. And it is now. And nothing in the so-called past or in the future has any reality. What can I think better now? How can I better enjoy myself? After all, listen, we ought to be living a more purposeful life, full of purpose. My purpose is to unfold myself. And through conscious recognition, enjoy the goodness and fullness of myself. Now, I'll tell you a little funny thing a joke I played on myself. When I first read those words, I thought it was a 3-part play. It had 3 parts. As good as all there is, the only purpose could be to unfold itself. That's number 1. And through conscious recognition, number 2. And then dessert, the enjoyment of the goodness and fullness of myself. But then I suddenly realized it's only a 2-act play. Just as intelligence is only cause and effect. Effect is the thinking, the conscious recognition. What I am is infinite. So that's kind of job security, isn't it? It's eternal. Again, job security. So what is my purpose? To consciously enjoy myself, not outward appearances, or try to brainwash myself to thinking that what others would call tragedy and distasteful and horrible and sad and disappointing and all that suffering. Oh my gosh, can you imagine the suffering that family is going through because their grandfather or little child or something died? Oh, I can just imagine how horrible that is. Oh, it feels so easy. No, you don't. Were you listening? I was telling you, psst, that can't be the truth. Or you would feel good. So since there's just cause and effect, and what you are is intelligence or consciousness, infinite, and at the same time just one, therefore infinite. If there's only one substance, it takes up all room. There's no room left for anything else. But this infinite goodness, good intelligence, good consciousness, seeking to find out more and more of what itself is. So going back to the beginning of my little soliloquy here, when we awakened to individual consciousness, because we always were as a possibility, and when we awakened to individual consciousness, we heard sounds, we eventually saw things, we saw forms, and because we had an unfolded reason, deductive reasoning, we thought the forms were the reality, so our form is the reality of us, and nobody advised us correctly what the truth was. Whether you are consciously aware of it or not, you have always lived and moved and had your being in your own mental realm, but in there, you are showing yourself maybe some crazy, scary movies. I'm threatened by what I see. I'm threatened by what I hear. Well, who's making that assessment? Grow up. Take credit that you are causing that yourself, and you don't need to. You have some very intelligent questions available to you. What is the truth here? What is the truth? What can I think better now? Ask the question, but answer it. Answer the question. You asked an intelligent question. You couldn't have asked the question if the reality, the truth, weren't already there, pressing for expression. Now come some of the more sensitive things, more personal things, in other words, from the human point of view. My boss picks on me at work. Really? Can another individual do that? Well, he behaves like he wants to get rid of me. Really? Whose interpretation is that? What could be a different interpretation? That the boss sees far more potential in you than you have given recognition to, and is encouraging you, perhaps prodding you to do even better. Perhaps not with the motive for your own unfoldment, but still, it's your option. It's your life. And you are the God, 100% commander-in-chief of your own mentality, of your own life experience. Now it gets a little more personal. But my husband, I don't like what he's doing. How can I change him? Or what can I do about that? Well, for one thing, you can think that his behavior doesn't impact you at all. You want to criticize it? Okay. But what is he doing? He's trying to fulfill his purpose. That's all any of us are fundamentally motivated to do. My motivation for what I'm going to say next, it's the same purpose. I'm endeavoring to enjoy the goodness and fullness of myself. And I have to do that consciously. I have to do it deliberately. I have no idea what I'm going to say 5 minutes from now. Trust me on that. I live my life extemporaneously. In other words, outside of a time frame. I live in the now. I live, move, and have my being in the now. At the same time, the now is here. Here. It's where I live. I live here. Now, for convenience, in consideration of the protocols and platforms of thought that other people use, I say, well, where do you live? Okay, I live in Simi Valley. Unless I wanted to strike up a provocative discussion and say, oh, I live here. What? In the grocery store here? You live here in the gas station? You live here on the street? No, I live here. For their convenience, so that it's somewhat more couched in terms that are more meaningful to them, I say, well, I live in Simi Valley. Oh, where in Simi Valley? Well, you know where the Reagan Library is. I'm about 1.5 miles from there. Oh, that's a nice part of town. I said, every part of town is a nice part of town. Now that could be a little provocative because they may come back with a counter argument based on their own opinion, but that's their opinion. And you don't have to criticize them because you don't agree with their opinion. Opinion comes from the word opine, which means thinking or thought. Why would you object to what others choose to think when they're doing what they're doing on purpose? Just as you are doing what you are doing on purpose. And perhaps they don't know about their little friend. This is standard equipment. Every intelligence gets one. It's not an option. It's there. It is a part of what you are, and it's always giving instantaneous feedback. Oh, this notion, this idea, this concept you're having isn't like what you are. It's alien. It can do nothing but reduce your sense of ease. Okay, use the word dis-ease as it relates to other things. What is said on the radio or broadcast on the television, it's not causative. What you see other people expressing, their sense of vulnerability, it's not cause for you. Even if it's your best friend who's calling you up and complaining and saying, oh my gosh, this virus, what are you doing to protect yourself? I mean, should we make our own masks? Should we do this and do that? Well, you know, if you think you're a human being, you probably should, and that's all right. Really, there's nothing wrong with it. In fact, occasionally when I go to the store, I wear a mask. It's not a good mask. It's not a proper mask, and it probably doesn't work at all because it's an effect for one reason. But it's a mask that was designed for painters, and it's about 15 years old, so it's kind of brittle. It's kind of funny. I went to the store about a week ago, and I put the mask on, and you had that little metal thing to press it against your nostrils. So I put it on. It has one elastic. Well, the little metal tabs fell off. I mean, it's an ancient mask, but I did it for cosmetic purposes, not for any other motive, so that others could be more comfortable. Listen, I can emulate the rules that they live by, but not believe them, but I can emulate them. Oh, and then before I left the store, the little elastic band that goes around, it was 15 years old too. And, you know, rubber tends to degrade according to human concepts, and it gets brittle and it breaks. So I was having to go to keep the mask on till I get out to the car. You want to wear rubber gloves? Sure, you can wear rubber gloves. Listen, the mentality that I love to call Sean generously bought me a huge box of surgical gloves. You know those blue plasticky things? And he says, you need to wear these when you go out. And I said, okay. I didn't say it out loud, but that's what I was thinking. Okay, sure, I can do that. So I took a handful, and that's what I wore to the market. Oh, and before I left, I was educated on how to use them. As soon as you go to the market and you get all your groceries and you're wearing these blue hands, and you get to your car, take off your gloves. Don't be wearing your gloves when you're driving your car, because then you could contaminate the steering wheel. And I'm thinking, oh, poor steering wheel. I hope you don't get contaminated. Okay, so I'm ridiculing some things. And there are those who perhaps are listening and saying, God, Bruce is weird. I don't like his sense of humor. I'm offended. No need. I'm ridiculing error with the hope that at least it'll loosen the bonds that we've used in attaching a sense of reality to less than truth. In an allness of good, there can't be any opposites. We need to reason that and remind ourselves more and more frequently. The more and more frequently we do that, the better we are at it. The more skilled we are, the more naturally and automatically we work from truth. My purpose is to unfold self. I'm not going to find it in the body called Bruce. That's not what I'm endeavoring to unfold. It's an effect. If an effect is an effect, if it's got a form, it's an effect, and it's not cause. It's not cause. It can't be. You are cause. You experience what you cause. Your interpretations is what you cause. You experience the sense about whatever the topic is. That's what you experience. That's the effect. Your sense is the effect. What you are thinking is the effect of that which is infinite, or only one substance. You're going to have to do some deductive reasoning on this if you're not catching on right away. Its only effect would be its activity. That which is infinite, in order to remain infinite, has to continue to unfold and increase an understanding of what itself is. Now, nobody taught us that when we were kids. And if you have little children and you wonder, what should I tell them about what's going on? Well, use little children ideas. People have this idea. Now, I don't have little children. I've got immature thoughts, but that doesn't quite qualify as my own little children. I haven't practiced bringing up a family. So I'm going to give you an amateur's opinion as to what I would say to a 2-year-old or 4-year-old or 6-year-old. I would say, you've heard a lot of things, and that's what people are saying about it. But you only need to realize that your thinking is causative, And you are the chooser. You're the decider of what you're going to think about it. You can react and be uncomfortable, or you can say, hey, it was just a thought, just an idea. An idea is not causative. That sounds more like an explanation for a teenager. Here's what you do for yourself with regard to a child of yours, or even a cranky wife, disappointing husband. It's all the same. It's a question. What is the truth? What are they? What are they doing? And if you want to encourage good behavior, then reward it. I don't mean this to be pejorative or in any particular way, but when you train a dog to do the right thing, you give him a reward. You show gratitude. Remember, I use the word gratify, your own right desires. Express your gratitude. Reward the good behavior. And forgive the other kind of behavior. Forgive is a command. It's for giving a more truthful interpretation. If you say, oh, their behavior is bad, it's terrible. Really? Are you accusing intelligence of doing something terrible or bad? Psst, you're going in the wrong direction. So listen within. And if some notion or idea that you have of interpreting one thing or another, some form, remember the form is not causative. It can't be, never was, never will be. Encourage good behavior and forgive anything else. You know, at one meeting, Mr. Walter said, if your husband or wife or spouse is not to your liking, geez, I wish I had remembered this more precisely, make him or her your ideal. And that was probably wildly misunderstood. How am I going to make my wife my ideal when I don't approve of what she does or says or what her attitude is? Well, that could be a struggle if you're using expressions, attitudes, behavior, emotions as though they were causative. Come on, they're just effects. Your experience of them is your interpretation. It doesn't have anything to do with them. If you're disturbed because of their behavior, it's you that needs to correct, not them. Well, how do I think something good about bad behavior? Well, you ask an intelligent question, you'll get an intelligent answer. What are they? What are they? What are they endeavoring to do? Fulfill their purpose. Same truth as applies to you and everyone else. On the political scene, we have local government, we have statewide government, we've got nationwide government, and they're all saying some things that you wouldn't particularly agree with. But who's in charge of you? Who's in charge of what you think? Now, you can cower in fear and trepidation that you don't catch this disease, and you protect yourself against it. Well, listen, I'll wear a mask. I'll wear, I'll wear purple or blue gloves or whatever. I'm willing to go along with whatever the costume is for the day. If everybody's wearing a clown costume, I'll wear a costume of a clown. If everybody's wearing an animal costume, I'll put on an animal costume. It doesn't make any difference. I'm going to blend in. Not physically as the motive, but blend in with the conscious recognition that we're all the same thing. We're not different gods. There's only God. So I'm going to blend in with what's in common and how the majority express themselves. Sure, I'll go along with it. I don't care. Doesn't make any difference. God, there's a bazillion things. Specifically about pandemics and there's another name for it. There's Mr. Walter wrote a whole chapter in one of his books, and he named it disease. When was the last time you thought to look in your textbook to see if perhaps what seems to be a topic that is disturbing to you might have already been covered? There's a whole chapter called disease. There's some wonderful points in the writings of other metaphysicians. We've got the writings of Florence Stranahan. The sense I get is that she was probably the best pupil of Mr. Walter at that time. And she wrote a number of books. There's a series called Messages on Christian Science. Well, don't let that turn you away if you're thinking about the Christian Science Church. She gained a great deal and gave credit to Mary Baker Eddy, and so did Mr. Walter, for what she had unfolded of understanding. And Florence Stranahan continued that. Mr. Walter continued with that. They all got started there. Mrs. Eddy was a pioneer. And she was a pioneer because of distress and calamity and trauma seemed to plague most of her life. And she realized there's got to be more than the human sense. And she found it within herself and shared it as best she knew how at the time. And I'll see if I can find something in here. There's why did I mark this? I'll read one of her messages. This happens to be in number 2. This is message number 19. These are excerpts of letters that she had written to individuals, and she says at one point, these are essentially unedited letters. This is what I wrote in my letter to a particular student, or inquirer, without naming names. In order to answer your questions regarding the power of right thought and the belief in the so-called power of evil thought, it may be necessary for me to appear to sermonize. You say that in a measure you understand the power of right thought. I hope to be able to clear up to you the nothingness of wrong thought. Nothingness of wrong thought. A little child's mind is perfect, but immature. It doesn't think correctly because it has not been taught to think with intelligence. When sending this child to school, suppose on its return you should ask, "What did you learn today in arithmetic?" And the reply was, 2 times 2 is not 5. 6 times 5 is not 29. 3 times 7 is not 24, etc. It would be nonsense. No sense. Filling a child's thought with untruth instead of facts, and you would immediately take the child from that school and send him where they taught the fundamentals of mathematics. So with your own child, the thought of your mind. One need never deny lies, but know truth, and then more truth. Teach your thought to think correctly. And like when training a dog, you give him a treat, when he does the right thing, you improve that behavior, encourage it, show your gratitude, and show the gratitude to yourself for having done the same. Teach your thought to think correctly. Study the science of life and so completely fill your thought with the true exact laws that there is no place where they are not, where truth is not. See the sickle, page 184. She quotes Mr. Walter, "Learn to make your treatment affirmations of truth and not more denials of error." The opposite thought of "I am sick" is not "I am not sick." The directly opposite thought is the affirmation that I am perfectly well. Healing through denial is the work of the human mind. God or divine mind does not know sickness, so never denies. Divine mind heals by affirming truth. Ponder, reflect on this statement of Mrs. Eddy in miscellaneous writings. Right thoughts are reality and power. Wrong thoughts are unreality and powerless, possessing the nature of dreams. Good thoughts are potent. Evil thoughts are impotent. This will stop the childish isn'ts and leave in your thought only the affirmation of what is. If I have made this clear, you will in the future deny only one thing, namely the admission that there is anything to deny. I heard a fable many years ago which illustrates the nothingness of evil and how only the one who partakes of this nothingness suffers, and none other. The fable runs as follows. The sun and a cave had a controversy, and the cave said, "There is no such thing as light. All is darkness, and I know it, and have realized it all my life." "Oh no," said the sun, "all is light, and this is the forever fact." But the cave remonstrated until at last the sun said, "You come up where I am, and I'll prove to you that all is light." So the cave went up to the sun, and with amazement cried, "I see my mistake. There is light. I can prove to you, however, that there is also darkness. You come down with me, and I will show you." So the cave admitted the sun, and the sun, looking in every corner, asked, "Where is your darkness?" Let this fable make such an impression that it will be deep and lasting, and it will free you scientifically from fear. How often in the Bible we are commanded, fear not, be not afraid. Why are you fearful? Etc. Remember, the darkness of the cave could not penetrate nor make an impression on the sun. Well, we're the sun, not the cave. We're the cause, not the effect, in terms of forms. The sun annihilated it, for light is something, and darkness merely the absence of this something. So with wrong thoughts, they cannot enter your consciousness because they are no thing, a seeming absence of something. And this is your protection and security, that you know that you are the substance. You are light, life. Again, with the fable, the sun lighted the cave when it was admitted. So too you, as you understand the science of life, are sending out constantly light, and it will penetrate even the uttermost parts of the cave's darkness. This is the light shining in the darkness, though the darkness comprehendeth it not. Your only protection and safety is in so understanding that God, good, is all, that you are a particle of this substance, that simultaneously with this positive realization comes the certainty of the nothingness of nothing, the nothingness of nothing. Well, it bears repeating. Redundancy of the truth is not a loss. It's an enhancement. It would be foolish to go outside a fortress and begin to fight an army. Stay inside the citadel. Reinforce it and shoot from within out. Yes. Return to prime. Work from what you are. Again, what am I? Work from that. This fortifying of one's mental home is accomplished by continuous, correct thinking. The ammunition which you are firing into the enemy, or so-called evil, is this same substance, good, right thoughts. And it is all-powerful and destroys the enemy, not persons, but evil or incorrect thinking. All that I'm writing to you is based on and upheld by Mrs. Eddy's article called Admonition and Counsel, which you know is on page 210 of Miscellany. And its correlative admonition by St. Paul. St. Paul allegedly said, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, think on these things. And if you wish to be fully established in the almighty power of right thought and realize the futility of wrong thought, take definitely into your consciousness this correct premise of the truth about God and man, which Mr. Walter has made clear. Oh, you betcha he has. You betcha. In another of his texts, he gives a whole chapter on disease. Did you know that? Probably not everyone listening has graduated from the booklets to the textbook called The Sickle. But he's got a chapter there. Have you read that lately? Everything in Mr. Walter's works is about the truth of you, reminding us what we are. Reminding us what we are. Just the truth. Just the truth. Just the goodness. Just the reality. And when I greeted you this morning, I didn't greet you as plural. Good morning, gods. It would have been equally valid as saying good morning, God. When I say good morning, God, I was referring to the wholeness of good consciousness. As a reminder that you are whole and complete. You are self-sufficient. You're everything. And you work very intelligently, which means that if you don't know something, you don't have to wait for somebody else to tell you. You don't have to seek that information from somewhere else. You can ask yourself, what is the truth? And you'll hear what you think as the answer. And if it brings with it more a sense of ease, then you know you're on the right track. If you get a little psst, you're on the wrong track. Be grateful for your conscience. Be grateful for you. This whole and complete substance that does its own checking in terms of the validity of what it is creating. So if you don't know what you are, you do at least come with a creative package called imagination. If you don't know what you are, what the truth is, you can create an idea and then test the idea, not to see if it makes you any better. That would be personal. But to find out, is this idea useful? There's no personal sense in that word. Is this idea true? Is it good? Is it perfect? Is it real? Is it useful? If it is useful, use it. Don't just stuff it away as more information. Because life means to live, not catalog statements of truth. So we do have a three-act or three-stage action that's required. Think the truth. Feel the truth, as good, as useful. And act it out. Be expressive of your good nature, your good humor, your courage, your strength, your compassion. Or be critical. Condemn others based on their forms of behavior, what they look like, what they say. That's not actually taking place in anywhere but your own mentality and your own thinking. Those assessments and the displeasure, you're making them up. And then blaming somebody else for doing it. Just kind of ironic if it's true that life is individual. There's no one else could impact you in any way, either positively or negatively. You are a self-sufficient particle of intelligence. You're wonderful. You're so good. You're so lovely. You're so loving. You're so capable. You are so sufficient. That's the truth. Express it. Press it outwardly. Demonstrate it. Show it forth. Be proud of what you have understood so far. And you know what? Be proud that you discovered an opportunity to improve. You're not improving yourself. You're improving your sense. And sense is your experience. If you really want to get metaphysical, let's say, for instance, the premise that you are a mind, you are a mentality, and the nature of that particular substance is that it could only be aware of something else that was of the same nature. Now, it's a pretty good simulation that I am using a computer and a camera to communicate with you. And that these things are necessary to communicate to you and with you, not only audio, but also video. At some point, these computers won't be necessary. The more you see, the more you think, the more you feel, the more you sense that everyone that you see is identical to you. Good consciousness only. Striving for the only purpose there is, to fulfill it, to unfold itself. And through conscious recognition, enjoy the goodness and fullness of themselves. That they are currently at a point where they're struggling to get rid of imagined error, or they're reacting to it in a way that some would say is misbehaving. What is that to you? I'll tell you what your responsibility is. To ask yourself the same question you ask yourself. What are they? Really? What are they? What are they about? What are they doing? They're unfolding themselves, of course. Let that be the first answer that comes to your thought, or the second one, or the third or the fourth, but it needs to be included that they are the same. We're all the same stuff, doing the same thing. And if you think that what they are expressing, which of course is effect, is what they are, you do yourself no favor by placing limits on your interpretation. Limitation can only take place in your own mentality, temporarily. All sense of unease, dis-ease, is a purely mental awareness that you create. It doesn't just happen. You have to make it. You're a creator, so you make stuff. It's the way we learned as kids. When we were out playing, we made up stuff and we tried it to see if it was fun, right? And if some game or some activity you were acting out was not fun, did you keep doing it? No. You said, basta, yeah, not enough, no more, thanks. Let's do something else. Well, if your sense about other people, conditions, or things is unpleasant, what would be more pleasant to think? Take charge. You are in charge. Take charge. You are the all power of goodness. Why limit it with fabricated, baseless slander? I have to do something technical here. No. Okay. Oh, plug in the bed. The battery's getting low. Well, solved. Okay. Let's see. Are there any particular questions that have come in? I know there's probably 800 of you listening, although I don't. No, it's only 489. 489 people are on board here. So there must be at least a couple of you who have a question. Debbie's been receiving them, and there are some other panels, folks on the panel who have been watching and monitoring the questions coming in. Debbie, is there any question that rises to the surface that I should approach it or deal with it?
There's only one right now, and I'm sure there'll be more now that you've said that. And please,
I opened the door.
So please do submit your questions if you have any specifically to the topic. Carlos from Mexico asks, do you suggest taking classes via Zoom or the web so as not to contradict the government indications of stay at home?
Listen, I live with a fellow who doesn't want anyone to come into our home. And I conduct my classes here with some who are in the same room as I am, and also simultaneously on Zoom. So I do it both ways. But more recently, because of this concern, I'm willing to play the game. Okay, so you guys who are local, who come here for classes face-to-face, and which are also being video connected to the Zoom students, for the time being, just stay at home and you can practice Zooming in on classes too. But listen, I'm willing to comply with whatever customs and mental costumes of limitation or attitudes that anyone has. I'm willing to, hey, I'm flexible. I really am. I'm not all that rigid except with the truth. And that served me well. So yeah, thank you, Carlos. I think it's practical to have classes by Zoom, as long as you have folks who have access to Zoom. And those who don't, now in my case, I have the Zoom classes, and I also make MP3 recordings of the classes, which I then send the MP3 along with an email at the end of the class. So they can hear the class over and over again. I haven't taken to doing videos of my weekly classes. That's a pretty big file to try to send over the internet, but it can be done, and we will be doing that with this presentation. But yeah, I think it's considerate to use Zoom, and it allows the students or the teacher to be in one place, and at the same time begin to appreciate that even though it seems that we are at a distance from each other, we're all right here and right now. So it can be interpreted that way as a very positive thing. Or some would say, well, if you're an eschatologist, you ought to be able to go out and mingle with the masses and not even wear a mask or anything else. Well, you know, that's not considerate. That's not loving. That's not kind. I don't want to stick out like someone special. I'm just really, believe me, I know me best. I'm just ordinary, just like you. ordinary, common, good intelligence, good consciousness, striving to reveal more and more of what I am for my own enjoyment. In fact, here's the point that I may have missed emphasizing when I was talking about the purpose. There's just two facets. The purpose is to unfold self, and through consciously recognizing you are enjoying the goodness and fullness of yourself. It's not like unfold yourself and then consciously recognize that, and then dessert follows automatically as the effect. No. Conscious recognition is the effect. Conscious recognition is the enjoying of the goodness and fullness of self. Just wanted to reiterate that particular point, just so it sticks in mind a little better. So the classes I give, is it a source of income? No, it's not a source. I am the source, and I'm enjoying myself. And others are their source, and they're enjoying themselves, and they express their appreciation in some form of remuneration or money, to use a more familiar term. And that's fine. They enjoy themselves giving, and I enjoy myself giving. So it all works out perfectly fine. I think that kind of answered your question, plus a few additional detours here or there, which I'm prone to follow from time to time. Debbie, is there any other question?
Sure. One student asked, if a student contracts the virus from a metaphysical standpoint, what might they do?
What are they? What are they about? Teach them that truth. If a student asks for backup mental work, you would still convey the same idea. What is the truth of you? What are you? You're not addressing a physical or bodily being who has contracted sickness or a virus. That's not what you're dealing with. You're not trying to get out this giant eraser to get rid of that error. I have a perfect, I'll be right back. Perfect example of that.
Well, while he is away, Rafa, do you want to repeat, please, in Spanish, the information about your session next week?
Rafa, turn on your microphone.
Sure. Yes. Okay. Hi, everybody. Next April, well, in Spanish, I think, or in English.
Spanish.
Spanish. Yeah. Ok. El próximo 11 de abril va a ser la plática que voy a dar yo. No es la traducción de lo que explicó ahora Bruce, es una plática totalmente diferente y pues vamos a ver pues temas que son uno solo, hablar del bien y de lo mental. Eso es lo que vamos a hacer en la próxima semana. Es a las 11 y es exactamente el mismo concepto de conectarse, pero tiene otro número de link. Si saben de alguien que no lo tenga, pues se lo transmiten, por favor. O que le mande un correo a Debbie. Okay. Go ahead, Bruce.
Okay. Yeah, if a student of yours has bought into the idea and believes that they've been impacted by a germ, they've really only been impacted by their own fear. Fear is the expectancy of evil, or that there's some counter reality, an alternate reality than good only. So that just shows you, well, they believe that there's something more than good. So you would approach them in that way, but please don't approach them as though they have to get rid of nothing. They have to get rid of a belief. They have to get rid of darkness. My whole point in sharing the sun in the cave was you don't have to eliminate or destroy error. You don't have to erase it, especially the very big problems. They seem impressive. This is a hell of a big eraser. I haven't used it on anything. I only use it for demonstration purposes. Shine the light. Continue to present the truth until the individual, on his part, you can't make him feel or be convinced of the truth. You can argue from daylight to dark what the truth is, but if the individual is not receptive, first get them into a receptive mood or a receptive attitude. Let the individual know that you are not going to cause them to be free of any mistake. Only they can do it, and they can do it. You might mention if you know of any cases where the individual has thought wrongly and now thinks rightly. Use that as an example to say, see, you know how to do this. You have supplied the truth in this other case, and the unpleasant experience, safe way, it just disappeared. It's no longer, because they are enjoying and experiencing what they are now thinking that is better, more truthful, more reasonable. And because you've already healed yourself, as it were, healing is not the eradication of error. In English, it's very clear. The word heal derives from the former term whole, W-H-O-L-E. So when you're healing, you're not getting rid of a mistake. You're reestablishing the wholeness of that individual. Now, that can be very practically proven if you can get them to look within for their information, to do the meditation. Again, this just opened so many doors to me. It's worth reading again. Had the infantile mentality, the unfolding mentality, looked within for its information instead of without, looking outside, and rendered righteous judgment governed by its own comprehension, no errors, such as judging its body as solid, sentient, and occupying space, would have occurred. Now, probably the sticking point in that statement is governed by its own comprehension. Well, wait a minute, Mr. Waller, you're talking about an infantile mentality. He doesn't have any comprehension yet. You have to be comprehension in order to unfold it. And it's the comprehension that is the basis for the little, psst, hey, that's not like you. This isn't natural. This isn't your nature. This isn't intelligent, this assessment you're thinking, or this view that you're entertaining, judging by appearances. That's not where you start. That's what this guy is saying. This is your comprehension telling you, hey, that's not natural. It's not saying you're dirty, evil, wicked, mean, bad, or nasty, or that you've committed a horrible sin. It's simply a case where, oh, that doesn't feel right. So everyone is born comprehension, a comprehensive, whole, entire, complete, perfect mental entity or substance, good substance, just to make it brief. And when you're thinking something that's not like that, that's your comprehension speaking to you. This isn't natural. You can do better than this, or however you interpret your sense of it. That's all that's taking place. And so convey that to a student should they have signed a contract believe themselves vulnerable to whatever the popular term is, coronavirus, COVID-19. And they have another one, novel coronavirus. Well, there's a long story of belief behind that novel. Different sense of the word novel. But that's what I would do. I would work with him to be receptive, work with him to begin to trust his own mentality, because apparently there's been a little gap in a cohesive awareness that he is whole and complete. There's been a doubt, another way of saying it, there's been some doubt that he is not sufficient. He is not 100% cause for him. Forms can be cause for him. Listen, I didn't complete my thought before, but if I am a mental element, I can only be aware of what's mental or of the same substance. So even though I'm looking at my computer and it seems to be, a thing, or looking across the room and seeing my desk or mirrors or other paintings or chairs or something, they're mental too, because where am I seeing them? Where am I seeing them? Where am I experiencing them? Think about that. Am I experiencing them over there or over there? Here. Here is where I am experiencing them. If in any way you can begin to awaken him or help him to awaken himself, because you can't do it, but encourage and assist him to awaken himself to this greater, broader, more limitless awareness of all this good consciousness that he is, being God. And we're all God. We're not different gods. There aren't different mathematics. It's all just a mathematics or arithmetic. Arithmetic doesn't change from one individual to another, does it? Well, neither does truth. And the truth is, we are all born sufficient. But we have to unfold it through some mental effort on our part. Anyway, well, thanks for that question. Just carry on and on and on. Okay, what's next, Debbie?
Let's see. How do you respond to people you live with who constantly want to talk about the virus and the situation, who are also full of fear?
I hear it, but I don't listen to it. I hear it. I recognize what they are and that they are expressing themselves logically based on their starting point. That they are thinking of themselves as forms, as bodily beings, and that's okay. Immaturity is not corrupt. Immaturity is just immature. I happen to live with such an individual. Well, he kind of went along with the idea of eschatology, and he took classes for a few years. I think he got all the way to TGC. And then he just abandoned it. Just abandoned it. Probably because what he was trying to resolve wasn't getting resolved. And so a sense of disappointment. So he abandoned eschatology because it failed him. Well, do you abandon arithmetic because it fails you? Or did you just not apply it correctly? It's essential. It can't be overlooked. Think it, feel it, act it out again and again and again and again. If you take an intellectual approach, you'll be stuck for 10 or 20 years like I was. I took it intellectually for a long time. I could remember pages and statements and everything and refer to this page and that page and this book and that book. But somebody challenged me on that. Is that your authority? And your authority is what you've proved, not what you can remember. It's what you have proved, because that has enlarged your understanding of understanding. And that is your stand for going forward. So encourage an individual, what they have accomplished, or whatever that you know of that, or that they've shared with you. And say, if you did it then, you can do it again in the same way, working from within out. What are you? What do you desire? And then dwell on that, and it's expressed, at least vaguely in your sense, and then more and more concrete enjoyment, sense of enjoyment, more certain, invariable, stable sense of enjoying yourself. I think that's all that needs to be said. I've been redundant in repeating some of the points, but I thought they were worth repeating, or I wouldn't have done it.
Plus, redundancy is good.
That is good. Repetition's a good thing.
So someone asked, how can we spread the truth to the entire world that they must not be worried or reduce the fear?
Take out an ad in the newspaper, but it's got to be a worldwide newspaper. So
Facebook.
I'm just kidding. Mr. Walter said, no, I think it was Mrs. Eddy. Where do I have Mrs. Eddy's stuff? Hang on. It's within reach.
Well, one thing I will mention in the meantime is I put out an article to all the graduates a couple of weeks ago that talked about this, that referenced letters from Mr. Walter on how you can do a broadcast to everyone. So if you haven't seen that or don't know where you put it, it is on the website under articles. So you can go look at that again. Because I was answering letters from I was looking at Mr. Walter's letters that he answered in the 1940s when people wrote him about the war. So how do we think about the war? And his answer about making a broadcast, which was lovely.
Oh, why don't you, does everyone have access to that?
All the graduates and teachers have access. So the teachers, it was suggested that they send it to all their students, but I can read just a short paragraph.
Yeah, please do. Please do.
In a 1940 letter, Mr. Walter says, if you let any of the worldly conditions disturb or distress you, it does not help the cause of righteousness, but the reverse. For then you are one more mentality that is attempting to make the evil seem real. Know and feel that nothing but good can come to you and yours, and keep knowing it with ever-growing convictions. And you will not be disturbed by the ill doings of others, but you will actually send forth a powerful force to destroy the evil that others are doing. The entire scriptural teaching is that we must learn to overcome evil with good. Well, this is a thought world. Therefore, the scriptures mean that we must overcome wrong or evil thinking with good thinking, or the thinking of good as real. It is the thought of the mental being that is at fault, and the change must come through the mental element and its thought. And so one more, he says, we could use the scriptural expression of hear ye, like they used to do in the past with town criers. This is how they got the news. So he says, hear ye, all peoples. Peace and goodwill is all. therefore the only reality. Now, of course, like he says everywhere else, we can substitute and say health and prosperity is all. Every good and honest individual everywhere will think health and prosperity because thought is causative, and therefore the manifestation of health and prosperity will come as a result. So if we put together a mental broadcast, and you did that, I know one of my students is doing it an hour, 3 times a day. I had another email from a student who was talking about when she's out walking and she sees others, she says, "You're good, you're perfect, you're healthy," and just continually keeps her thought right about self and others. So I think it's a beautiful thing that we all can do. Now, we've had almost 500 people in the session today. If all 500 of us decided to have this message and said it at least with strength and determination every hour, or at least an hour or 5 minutes a day, imagine how that feeling might change.
Very good. Good point. Look, I have to add one more caveat, and that is don't do it to make people change, because now you're making them making you cause for them. Make it available. Some will pick up on it when they're ready, and some will not yet pick up on it because they're not yet ready. But at least understand that in what you're conveying is the absolutely unwavering certainty that every individual is God. Every individual is eternal. Every individual is health and wealth, abundance, prosperity, success by nature, and nature or truth cannot be changed. Each has to take responsibility for himself as an individual, and each individual awakens at their own pace. You can't accelerate it any more than you can accelerate helping a little baby chicken come out of its shell. If you try to remove the shell because you take pity, which is not a comfortable idea, by the way, you take pity and you feel so sad for that poor little baby chicken trying to get out of the shell and is pecking and pecking and pecking and pecking, and say, "I'm going to help you because you need my help," and you open the shell for them. It's been found scientifically that by having done so, the chicken ends up either dying much more prematurely or is sickly. Each must work out its own salvation, but it doesn't mean that prohibits you from putting up a banner, like a flag across a boulevard during a parade for people to notice. But don't do it with the motive you're trying to fix their problem or fix a problem or fix them or awaken them. Listen, they've got eternity, and so have you, and you'll never run out of now. Get those fundamentals in mind. Here and now describe the 4 dimensions that have been defined based on forms. Length, width, height as a 3-dimensional form, and the 4th dimension is time. It's here, it's now, it's mental. All are in touch through right consciousness. You don't have to go banging on their door to wake them up. Make the truth available by your radiating this goodness. What's your purpose for radiating the goodness? To unfold self. And through consciously recognizing it, you are enjoying the goodness and fullness of self. And good, the real good for one is the real and true good for all. And each will unfold that if it seems to be more apparent to them, but don't stuff it down their throat or shout it into their ears. It's let, allow, not beat the truth into them. Submission to the truth, submit to the truth. That's that implies you think the error is a reality that needs to be suppressed or destroyed. The word destroy comes from destruct, or to take apart. Well, you destroy dark with light. You provide it. Now, some are not ready to open their eyes to be aware of the light, but it's a possibility. So let there be light. Let there be light for your benefit primarily, not to change the world, because that would not be a correct notion. You cannot be cause for anyone but you. Let your light shine. And that's my message for today. Let it shine within you. Let it shine expressively, outwardly. Good unexpressed is pretty useless, really. It's just potential. And it's infinite. So express it as you go, enjoying the goodness and fullness of yourself. I'm done.
Okay, we have 2 minutes to go.
Oh, good. Yeah. I'll talk faster.
No, this is my turn now.
Okay. No. It's my turn. Believe me.
Okay.
I've been serving and offering my services as director of teaching since, I think, 1998 or something. And I'm going to be retiring from directorship. I think it's the 1st of November, I believe. And the reason I chose that date is that I want this last opportunity this year to visit each of you in Perth, in Sydney, or wherever in Australia you can come to the teaching sessions, and to greet you and share the good with you there, and in Mexico and in the US. Kind of like a farewell tour, but it's not really goodbye. It's just an expression of gratitude and appreciation. And my successor is named, you might be familiar with the name Debbie. Debbie will be taking on the title of Director of Teaching, and will be guiding the field forward from here. But that'll begin officially on November 1st. And I wasn't thinking of announcing it until at the teaching sessions, but this is a perfect time to do so. Debbie's exceedingly competent. She has been a long time friend. She has proved herself over and over again as not only being competent, she's very, very intelligent, very detailed-minded, very logical, and reasonable. And I couldn't be more pleased with my choice. So, Debbie, now it's your turn.
Well, thank you.
My pleasure.
And the only reason, well, the best thing about this is that you'll still be around and I can lean on your help and guidance and mentorship as I have for 30 years. And it'll be an honor and a pleasure. And all I can say is I'll do the best I can. So now that I don't know if this automatically cuts off because this is the first time we've done this, but I will say again that there will be a link to the recording that will be sent out to all after this sometime this afternoon. And I hope also, because we didn't get to all the questions, that I will be able to keep the questions. I'm not sure yet, but if we can, then hopefully we'll get to some of the questions if Bruce hasn't already. So with that, I just again so appreciate everybody for participating. Well, not that you could really accept your questions, but for being here and enjoying with us, spreading the good to all.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, I tried to keep it more general. I tried to keep it more structural so that you can look within for your information. That was an important instruction. And as you do it, you will find that you are the answer to the questions you're asking. But you got to trust yourself, and you have to look within for your information. And in doing that, you'll answer your own questions about how to deal with spouses, husbands, wives, children, and just what to say. And you have plenty of reading material in the textbooks that are available to you, whether they're just the common sense booklets or the plain talk booklets. Phenomenal source of wisdom, written down, easy reading. But it's not just more knowledge. The information is inert. It's your activation, it's your application that makes it alive and useful to you. And in the later textbooks and in other textbooks related to eschatology, like Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures, if you can get a copy of the original 1875 version, I think that'd be dynamite. The language might be a little klutzy. Stranahan's booklets, we have those for sale. We've got the Common Sense booklets. We've got the Plain Talk booklets. There's other literature and information on the website for those among your friends who are indicating they might be ready to be introduced to this. There's 7 different questions, frequently asked questions, and they're addressed there on the website, right at the top banner, FAQ. If you feel a little bit tongue-tied or unsure of just how to explain more about eschatology, you can direct them to the website. Feel free to do that. That to me is probably a little more practical than trying to send out a message globally for the entire world. Although if you do that, you're benefiting yourself primarily indirectly. But specifically for any individual showing interest, it'll be beneficial if you also, beyond your definition, direct them to the website and to the free information that is available to order from the bookstore. Even though it's not restricted, they can order those things too and read these things and process these ideas for themselves. And Messages on Christian Science by Florence Stranahan and the Walter Method Messages, booklet 1 and 2. Ooh, what a boon that was for me. I think it was lesson number 10, about tying the knot or a chain stitch. But when you pull it from the wrong end, it's like if you have a bag of flour that's stitched at the top and you try to pull the string from the wrong end, it just gets more and more difficult. I learned so much from that I became an executive in a particular company that I worked with years ago, because I knew how to negotiate. And you negotiate in a way that shows value to the seller and to the buyer. So both sides win. And also it gives you greater insight into the reality that you are the supplier, not the one you're trying to buy from, but you are the supplier. You're supplying them with the symbol of why they're even in business. They want to make a profit. Well, you're the one with the money. So that helps in the argument too. But there are so many other ways where we have taken a victim position instead of being the supplier position. So supply as often as you remember to ask yourself, what am I? What's the truth here? What's the truth about him? What's the truth about her? What's the truth about little Johnny? Or what's the truth about my aging grandparents? You are the answer to that. All right, do I have any more time? I've gone over time. Okay.
And we may consider doing this again sometimes. We haven't gotten to the next time idea, except for please, if you speak Spanish, feel free to show up for Rafa's presentation on the 11th of April at 11 o'clock Mexico City time. I'm sure you'll love it.
And also, también les quería decir que si tienen preguntas, las manden durante la semana, porque en esta ocasión nadie mandó las preguntas por adelantado. Entonces, todos entraron como 49 preguntas o algo así, 52 preguntas. Y pues ya no pudo Bruce contestar todas o armar algo para contestar esas preguntas. Entonces, si a mí me mandan las preguntas por adelantado, puedo llevar la plática con algo al respecto de ellas. Okay.
That's what we tried to do too. We tried to, well, we requested that if you do have any questions, send them in ahead of time so that we group them into different types of questions.
Yeah.
I know what probably was a question that prompted this exercise was concern about the current virus going around and what to think about it. And because there had been so many inquiries about it, we thought, well, okay, let's just address this in a more global way via Zoom. And that's what prompted it. But subsequent to that, some questions have come in about children, about marriages, about husbands, wives. You're experiencing your interpretation. Put it more into truthful perspective, and you won't be so bothered by other people, conditions, or things. So if we do this again and we ask you to send in your questions ahead of time, please do. It allows us to categorize the type of question it is so that I can more directly address those particulars.
Hello.
But I have attempted to do that in my presentation today based on what little information I had regarding questions. By doing a general presentation, what you are, how you work and why, what others are, what changeless reality is, where real effect exists. Just generalizations, but structural in a way that perhaps you know how to apply them in particular cases. So, Rafa, I look forward to attending. Maybe I don't look forward to it, but I look forward to hearing that it was a great success next week.
You get to open it up with comments.
I have a question. They are asking, hello, this is Kathy, and they are asking where to send the questions. Where is the right place to send questions?
To Raphael Scott, one word, at msn.com. And you can always copy me or copy Kathy because she is bilingual. She is Anna, ANAKLEVY, at gmail.com. If you send them to me, that's wonderful. I just have to translate them, which is fine.
Yeah.
Let's see if oops, no,
Yeah,
it's wrong side.
No, it's okay. It just was not in the frame.
It's just my name, and it's my name, Raphael Scott, at MSN, as messenger.com. It's easy. Raphael Scott at msn.com.
Excelentemente bien.
Okay, and Bruce is going to be on panel, and Davis also, and Katie is invited to be on the panel. Okay.
Thank you.
Wow. Gives me an opportunity to hear your presentation, and I have kind of a rudimentary level of skill understanding Spanish, but not at the speed that most people speak. If they speak more pedantically, as I do, people sometimes complain, why don't you talk faster? I said, because I can't think that fast. I only talk as fast as I can think. And some people seem to be thinking much more quickly than I do. But when spoken in unfamiliar language, slowly, I can pretty much understand everything that's meant. Because that's really all we're dealing with is meaning, not symbols, just the meaning. And we always are the ones in charge of what we mean by those symbols. See how relative it is and infinite? All right, I guess I'm going to sign off. Or do we get charged overtime by Zoom, Debbie?
No,
Not this time.
no, I don't think so. But that's another thing we'll find out. So,
Yeah, I'm not sure what they're going to charge us for this session.
oh, I already know what they charged us.
Oh, that's good.
Also, I'm going to invite my lovely teacher to be a panelist,
Oh, nice.
Berta.
Okay, good you told me so I can invite her.
Okay.
Good.
All right.
All righty. Go with God. Oh, I know. This is what Mr. Walter says in the TGC notes. He said, Godspeed.
Right.
Actually, he says a little bit more. I happen to have those notes. I'm supposed to put them in my safe, but I haven't yet. Just a second. And I will share a few sentences out of the sacred TGC red notebook. So you will have heard this as a reminder. And to you I say, Godspeed. That is, speed the good into your understanding with its conscious enjoyment in all you think, sense, and do. Pretty good stuff. Words to live by. All right, now I really, 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 really mean it. Goodbye.
Sure you do. I'll wait.
Let's share that red book with everybody.
Everyone, those who haven't heard it have something to look forward to.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm
Okay.
going to end the meeting.
Okay, I'm going to punch myself out
Oh, okay.
if I can.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much again. And I will release the recording later today or tomorrow.
Super. Thanks, Debbie.
Mm-hmm.
Y nos vemos el día 11 a la misma hora. Diferente link.
Different meeting ID too. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay.
All right.